With All Aspects Restored and Recycled, and we have a small end table today that I was getting ready to glaze. And since we're going to be using the glaze in two different ways, we thought we would do a video so that we could show it to you. We're going to be using the Wise Owl Black Walnut Glaze today. I'm actually going to first show you how you can use the glaze as a stain. The top of this really cute drum table has been completely sanded down. I first sanded it with an 80 grit, then 120, then I brought it to 150. So it's still coarse, but yet enough to really take the stain. So we're gonna use the glaze as a stain here. And then there's so much great detail in this piece that we're actually gonna use the Wise Owl Glaze and charcoal to bring some dimension to it. So, and this way, hopefully this will give you a little bit of confidence to be able to do it yourself. And if not, we also have a class on April 4th here at our shop where we're going to be doing 5 different boards so that we can show you different ways of using it. So what I have here first is the Wise Owl Black Walnut Glaze. So we're going to put this, in this case, as a stain. We'll do this first. We're going to put it directly over the wood. There's a couple of ways you could apply it. You could apply it with a sponge. You could apply it with a brush. You could apply it with those foam brushes. In this case, I'm actually going to use my F30 Klingon. It gives me a lot of control. They're comfortable in my hand. So I already shook it up, but we'll shake it up a little bit more here. Just gonna pour some on a paper plate. So our tools here is these are shop towels, and I just have a little bit here. I'm gonna apply it, and then I wanna wipe it back. Similar process to when you're doing same. The glaze actually dries really fast, so you really wanna work in small areas at a time. When I say fast, I kind of feel like it's like a 60 seconds. So I'm not going to do the whole table. We'll break it up into portions here and get along the edges. And there's a couple of things you can do. You can actually wipe it back, which is what I'm gonna do, or you could leave it, on. When we wipe it back, if we don't like the color or feel like it's dark enough, more so, you can actually apply a second coat after 2 hours, allowing it some time to dry. A little more on here. So the glaze has a very durable, it's very hard finish. It's very durable, but you would still seal it. When sealing it, the company recommends, their matte or satin varnish as the best, seal for it. They don't recommend you use the hemp oils because it can't penetrate through it. With this, just because it's a tabletop, I'm most likely gonna give it, I love the way the matte looks. That's my preference. So we'll end up sealing this with a matte varnish. And I'm just going to pull it back. Oh, it's so pretty. You can see the wood grain. So I'm going to get this part all pulled back. I'm going to leave the area I just did. And then...
How much are you putting on your brush?
Well,
just the tips.
Just the tips. And this is what works for me. When we do videos, it's what, in my experience, what works for me. Paint, a little more glaze would work for me. So this is, you know, it's trial and error. I had this wonderful lady that was in yesterday, and she was kind of working in, you know, in our workshop and kind of doing working on her project while I was working on mine, and we were talking, and she said, you know, I used to be so afraid, but I'm like, it's paint. If I don't like it, I can just, you know, go ahead and paint over it or sand it down and do something else. And that's why I would say, like, the experimentation of it all is just so fun. You know what I mean? You don't just get everything that I do. I've been doing by playing and learning, and that's why I kind of break it down in parts. I feel like that's what works for me because the glaze dries so fast. And I love that we can use these glazes as stains. Just kind of go on the edge. If your glaze gets onto your paint, the bottom of this piece hasn't been sealed yet. So I could always just touch up the bottom color, which is peppercorn. If I get a little bit of the glaze on there. There we go. And then the same thing. Just gonna go back. And I'm just wiping it back. And what's amazing is that this is the black walnut. And look at the color. It's really pulling like the red in this wood, and then as the grain changes, you see different colors. So see, you can kind of see a little bit more of the black walnut there. This is pulling some reds. So it really kind of has a really fun top. And then we will let this dry. I love the way this is bringing all these different colors. If I wanted it darker, like I said, I could wait 2 hours and give it another coat. But in this case, I love the color it's bringing. And I'll wait 2 to 3 hours and then add a coat of the Wise Owl matte varnish on top to seal it. Generally, I do give it the varnish, I do 2 coats of varnish. So we will do 1 coat after 2 hours, let it dry, and then another 2 hours, do another coat. Okay, and then just kind of cut this edge here. And then on our class on April 4th, we're going to be doing a few different sample boards. So you'll be able to play with different techniques on how you're able to use the glaze as a decorative finish. And this will be one of them. Wise Owl has now 24, I believe, different glazes, including new heavy, they actually just got these heavy metal metallics that are absolutely awesome. And we're going to be playing with those as well. All right. And then let's just wipe this. And there you go. And that is the black walnut glaze over this really cute old drum table. And then, like I said, if there's any that kind of came around the bottom at all, I could just touch it up with the peppercorn paint. And then once everything dries, then it'll be sealed. So that is how you use the glaze as a stain. top of the table with the Wise Owl Black Walnut stain glaze that we used as a stain. And right now we're going to be using the Wise Owl Glaze again. This time we're going to use it to add dimension to this piece. So up top, the glaze worked as a great stain. On the bottom, we're going to use it to add dimension. So this piece has been cleaned really well. I then, because the piece was very dark, and when I was cleaning it, it was just a lot of stain was coming off, a lot of dark, dirty, ugh. Chose to prime it. So we put 2 coats of clear primer on here, let the primer dry, and then it's had 2 coats of Wise Owl Peppercorn, which is hands down one of my favorite colors. And then because this piece has so much great detail in here and right through here and in here, we just want to pop the detail. So the glaze will work, you know, best over, you know, a painted area that's been just lightly gone over with a sandpaper just so it has something to grab to. So this has just been painted yesterday. The glaze we'll put on today just over those details. You don't have to wait overnight. You could usually paint, wait, you know, a couple hours and then glaze. Glazing, the glaze durable, it gives for a nice hard finish, but you still would want to add like a matte or a satin Wise Owl varnish over top when we're done. So a couple of tools to use. I have we're going to go with the black Wise Owl Glaze today over the peppercorn. I'm going to use my Klingon S30 brush. I love the S30 brush, especially when doing the glazing, just because, like I said, we work in small areas at a time. It's a nice small brush that fits nice in my hand. Klingon, of course, is a great synthetic brush that just gives great coverage. You don't lose your bristles in your paint. Easy to clean. I could go on and on about these brushes. They're my favorite. And then couple of tools for wiping back the glaze. Shop towels are always a handy thing to have. We use them every day here at the shop. And then a water bottle to spray it back. You can also use baby wipes as well. And these are really just to get off any excess. So what the glaze is gonna do is it's going to pop those details. We can do it in one of 2 ways. We could actually put glaze on this entire piece, and what it'll do is really fill in a lot of these details and kind of give dimension. And then, sorry for my Band-Aid, cut myself last night. But, and then here, we could just give a little bit more, it'll darken the paint. But what I would like to do today is we're just gonna show you how to use it to add dimension. Okay, so I'm gonna pour a little bit. What it looks like when you put it on versus looks like when it's dry is 2 totally separate things. So we will post the picture of this when it's been sealed and is okay. And then we're just going to wet my paper towel, my shop towel a little bit, and a little bit of it there. And I'm wiping this. So I'm not wiping the inside areas, I'm literally just wiping the outside. So this is all recessed, so the glaze is gonna kind of go in those cracks, and what I'm wiping back is the top of the wood there. So it's all kind of wet now. I'm gonna kind of come around here. Robin and I are working around a table, so it's hard to get the angle, but And then this is where it's preference. Like I said, I'm spraying down a shop towel. But you can use these baby wipes too. And we're just working in small areas. So this is a really pretty color combination. Oh, make sure we get in those cracks. And that's what's nice about this brush. We can just kind of get into those. Okay, look at that. And the point of doing this is to really bring out the beautiful detail in this piece. I really wish that I would have had a before picture of this piece, because this was a piece that you could say was salvaged from my husband's burn pile, I guess is the best way of saying it. And the crud cutter, which is a great cleaner. We also use TSP a lot. Another great cleaner. I think a mini kitty cat came off the bottom of this piece, and the wood was really beaten up. And after cleaned and primed and painted, these gorgeous details are really gonna pop. So, did we get the whole circle?
Yep, I got the whole thing.
All right, so what'll happen is we wiped back the bottom part of it, and the inside, which, you know, doesn't look like on camera or in person, black right now. As it dries, that inside area, that detail will really start to dry and darken. So let me come back around. And then I guess we'll do this area too. Kind of go around the little circle here. And really kind of work around our piece. So and then wet my shop towel. And then again. So what I'm doing is I'm applying and then I'm wiping back. And the whole purpose is that I'm wiping back on areas that are, you know, kind of, I'm letting the glaze go into the nooks and the crannies and the cracks, and I'm wiping back on the flat part, if that makes any sense. So all of the glaze is fitting into these fine details. So when it dries, I'll have my, you know, peppercorn painted surface on my, like my banister here. And then all of the nooks and crannies are going to have this darker glaze. So it'll really highlight and add dimension and a decorative finish to your piece.
So here's without glaze. There's with glaze.
Yeah, and then we'll do it on these too. I think we can do this piece I'll spend some time on, because I'm going to do it on each surface here, but for the sake of not making the video too long, why don't we do one little area here so you can see that, and then I'll continue to work on it off video, and then later on today we'll post this beauty, and then she'll be for sale in the shop. So I got the glaze on. I'm going to wipe around here because I don't want the glaze there. And then I'm literally just wiping back. And you can already see it, you know, filling in the little circle there. And then, you see it? Oh, there's the difference, yeah.
And glaze.
There. And our Klingons in the back. And then as it dries, it'll darken. So, all right, so we'll be posting this at the end of the day today. I'll finish, so you'll see how it looks complete with the glaze. Both, we use the black walnut glaze as a stain on top, and in the details we use black. So we do have on April 4th here at All Aspects a workshop. I will be doing 4 to 5 different sample boards on how you can learn how to use the glazes both to add dimension to your piece or as stains. We'll also be playing with the metallics, and you can actually go onto our Facebook page, click on events and sign up right through there. It'll link you right to the All Aspects Restored and Recycled website, and you can always sign up. But and this piece will be available for sale in the shop tomorrow. Thank you so much, and I hope you found that helpful.